Hi everyone, welcome to Netgate Chemistry. So in the previous video of coordination chemistry, we already studied about the formation of cubic complexes. So in this video we are going to start with the formation of icosahedron complexes. If we want to draw the structure of a icosahedron complex, then how we are going to draw is like this, roughly like this, and there are three more positions which are at the back side, which I am showing using dots. So now if we look closely at this structure, then the metal will be present at the center here, and all the vertices and these three dots will be the positions for the ligands. These three dots are basically showing the back side of this structures. Okay, this is the back side. Okay, so I'm showing the positions of the back side ligands as dots, and remaining all the vertices also will be the positions for the ligands in an icosahedron complex. So this is overall the structure of icosahedron complex, in which metal will be present at the center and all the vertices and these three positions of the backside will be the positions for the ligands. So if you want to show the orbitals of the metals, then one thing you will realize while orienting the orbitals is that the orbitals which are present on the axis and also the orbitals which are present in between the axes, both these types of orbitals are facing the ligands directly, or vice versa, ligands are facing directly to the orbitals. So in this case, if we look at these 5 orbitals, 5d orbitals, dxy, dyz, dzx, dx square minus y square and dz square, then all these 5 orbitals are facing the ligand directly. So that is the reason why what happens, all these 5 orbitals are going to have the same energies. So the energies of all these 5 orbitals will be same, because all the axial and non-axial orbitals are facing the ligands directly. So this is all about the icosahedron complex. So the next topic which we are going to study is electron distribution in tetrahedral complexes. So one thing which we should always remember is that all the tetrahedral complexes are high spin complexes. So what do I mean by high spin complexes is that while filling the electrons, we have to remember that no pairing will take place, right? Or we can say that del T will be much less than the pairing energy. Okay, so the electron will directly go to the E orbitals. So if I want to draw the orbitals, d orbitals in tetrahedral complexes, then what will happen is that these are the 5 d orbitals in the ground state. First they will be excited, all of the 5 orbitals will be excited and their splitting will take place, right? So then what happened after splitting? Suppose this is the barycenter. This hole is called as the splitted state. Right, this hole is splitted state, and from this energy level some of the orbitals go to this energy level. Here electronic stabilization takes place. Right, because energy is released here, so electronic stabilization takes place here. So now what happens is, in case of tetrahedral complexes, pairing will not happen. What happens is that the energy difference between these two levels is very low. So electron, instead of pairing, it goes up to T2. It goes into T2 orbitals. Here will be the E and here will be the T2 orbitals. So now what happens, if we want to see the crystal field splitting energy in tetrahedral complexes, then first of all what you should remember is that I am making the splitted state here so that electron filling is clear. Right, so these are the E set and these are the T2 set. So now what happens, if we fill the first electron, then it goes here, second electron goes here, third will go here. Instead of pairing, it will go here, because I have already told you this del T is very small. So what happens, the electron, instead of pairing, it goes here. Okay, so in this case pairing energy is high as compared to this energy difference, so the electron goes to the T2 orbital. Now fourth electron goes here and fifth here. After that, when there is no option of the occupancy of any other orbital, then pairing takes place. So the next orbital, the next electron, or you can say the sixth electron, will go here, 7, 8, 9 and 10. I hope the electron filling is clear now. After this, you can easily understand about the calculation of CFSE. Here what happens, here if we want to calculate CFSE, then if this is the barycenter, here each orbital will be having contribution of minus 0.6 del T, and here in case of T2 set, each orbital will be having contribution of plus 0.4 del T in the CFSE. So if we want to calculate the CFSE, then what we have to do, let us understand with using an example. For example, if we have a configuration of E2 T2 2, this is the configuration 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, so if this is the configuration, this is for D4 system. Then if we want to calculate the CFSE, then how we will calculate the CFSE is, the CFSE will be equal to, first of all, if we want to fill the electrons, then for D4 system in tetrahedral complexes, filling will be like this, 1, 2, 3 and 4. This is for D4 system, right? And these will contribute minus 0.6 del T and these will contribute plus 0.4 del T. So CFSE will be equal to minus 0.6 into number of electrons present in E set, that is 2, plus 0.4 into number of electrons present in T2, so that is 2. So after that you can calculate, that will be minus 1.2 plus 0.8, that will be minus 0.4 del T. Okay, here there is no concept of pairing energy, and that concept of pairing energy will start in case of octahedral complexes. for calculating the CFSE of octahedral complexes, we always have to take care about the pairing energy. Okay, that also contributes in the CFSE in case of octahedral complexes, but not in the case of tetrahedral complexes. So this is so far about the tetrahedral complexes. The next topic will be how to calculate the CFSE in case of octahedral complexes. And along with that, we'll also start with the topic of isomerism in the next video. So far that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching.